Welcome back, WNST, Tassel, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. I know it's Festivus week. I know you're saying, hey, Ness, have you given up on the Ravens? Where are all the purple lights? They're bad luck, Bill Cole, so I put them away this year. You can find the pictures last year of me all wrapped up in purple lights. They kept me a little warm. I was a little concerned I was going to catch on fire in the new gear here from Strategic Factory, but Festivus week, are you satisfied yet? I mean, you're doing roofs. We're all doing COVID. We're all doing politics. We're all doing all this stuff. We're all doing 2021. At the very least, we got a football game this weekend that's a playoff game that for now feels like a playoff game. It doesn't feel like Eddie Feiner. So for that, for the sports part of our friendship, I am very, very excited that we have a chance to at least advance in the playoffs this week.
I agree. I am extremely grateful to have one more week of, rooting for my team.
Man, when it goes away this year, it's going to be different, right? We're not going skiing. You know, my wife and I aren't going to Florida. I'm not going to spring training. You know, I mean, I don't know what happens if they lose on Sunday. I really don't. I don't know what I will do with myself.
You'll watch the playoffs, for another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, right, to get to a champion, and then
the Browns will have a coach by next week,
and then we're in trouble. Although, if we want to just pick up shop and move to Indiana, we could experience all the NCAA basketball games within like a 30-mile radius or whatever they're doing. Have you read on any of that?
I haven't. I mean, only on the periphery.
I
know enough about hockey and basketball to know that I'm not interested in it right now. And college basketball for me, I mean, it was my number one for a period of my life, right?
Sure.
Like coming out of let's say the Buck Williams era and going into that Herman Veal, Adrian Branch era, and then, falling into the Bob Wade and Walt Williams era. What's up, Wiz? Wiz listens a lot. So I was a basketball guy. I haven't watched them dribble. I'm not taking it seriously, right? So the Eddie Feiner part of me has activated when it comes, certainly for college football. This thing's a joke, right? Like, I didn't watch any college football, and I put it on the other day because, it's New Year's night. It's a Friday. My wife's made some delicious soups. We're sitting around. It's like, all right, it's for the national championship. It's Notre Dame. I'll put it on. It's Notre Dame and Alabama. I hate both of them. Oh, that's followed by Ohio State and Clemson. I hate both of them too. So, that was on. And that's the first time I put it on, and it's fun watching Clemson lose. I mean, it's fun watching Notre Dame lose. It's no fun watching Alabama win. It's jumped the shark for me, and this is what the NFL hasn't done, right? Like the NFL, I'm still like, we got a real quarterback. We got a real game. We got real officials. Okay, we don't have any fans, but, boy, the announcers are good, and I get to do the Zoom afterwards and ask Lamar questions on hostage videos. But I haven't bought into the rest of it. I mean, we're a year into the pandemic now. We're 10 months in, right? I mean, football's been the only thing that's felt real to me.
Yeah. Is that like the hypocrisy of amateur athletics taking place during a pandemic as opposed to professional athletics?
No. It's amateur athletics purporting to be about education during a plague. And now all of a sudden we always knew it was a ruse, right? But now it's very, very clear they don't give a rat's ass about these kids. They don't care about anything other than how much revenue Ohio State can generate playing 4 lousy football games and being anointed as royalty to play for the big one. And it's just, these universities are so tied to the money that they have moved into a space where they've got to play too. And that's been obvious, and that's gross.
Well, I mean, they stood on the edge, the brink of disaster, and this is the only way some of those universities will continue on, because they certainly don't get enough in tuition.
You think a lot of universities are going to go out of business 3 years from now? That's going to be a sector that we're going to lose 15% of our universities in the country?
I think if we had this discussion in April or May, maybe June, probably took till June to kind of wrap our heads around what was really happening, I would have thought you would be hearing that by now. I mean,
Listen,
how
I
many?
had a hospital president 2 weeks ago, a very well-known CEO guy here in the community, not on the air, just like we were having a business call about doing some business together, Baltimore Positive. He said to me, "We have no operating budget." This is a hospital saying we have no budget. We don't know whether we're making money. We don't know whether we're losing money. We have COVID patients coming in. We're taking care of them, and that's a hospital, right? Like these universities. How many parents are just saying, you're taking off, Skippy, or we're not paying this month, or the kid's like, I don't want to go remote, or it's not benefiting me, or whatever it is. I don't, when it comes time, like mortgages, like who's paying their mortgage, who isn't, who's paying their tuition and who's not, and who's going to pay it in 2022 or 23, right? I don't know, bro. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I hadn't thought much about that, but we're not going to have the same amount of colleges as we did 2 years ago. That's for
I
sure.
and
Trump University notwithstanding.
well, and like understanding that I'm not a vested party in all of these schools, right? So I can be a little bit harsh about it. We clearly totally screwed up the higher education business anyway, right? Like we
Okay.
created a bubble. There's no way kids should come out of school with $300,000 worth of debt and not be able to get a job. I mean, we really screwed that up. So the disruptor in me says, heck yeah, let's pop that bubble, right? Like we need to totally disrupt that. I can go on the internet and I can watch classes by the best professor at the University of Michigan, for $200. And I can take that course. I can, like, so there's lots of disruptive stuff. College became about the experience. And now if you don't get the experience, how are you justifying the $40,000 to this little private school in the nowhere, Pennsylvania? So I don't know how they don't go out of business. The big
Well, and they're
one,
not also guaranteeing you a job when you get out. When you get out,
sure,
you're guaranteed debt is all you're guaranteed.
right. And I think people
I
are
wasn't a
waking
big
up
fan
to
of
that.
college. I mean, and I wanted to go to college, and I was the kind of student that could have gone to college and like all that. I went to CCBC in Dundalk, and I went to University of Baltimore, and I would tell anyone. People ask me why I went to UB. Honest to God, Bill, the reason I went is because I could park my car. All of my friends were having trouble parking at UMBC, and I couldn't have gotten to UMBC. Towson, the other places you would go. I mean, Loyola was expensive. Places that I could drive. I had a kid. I had a job. I had all that. I went to school literally because I could park my car where it would get broken into. It's now a homeless area underneath of the viaduct on 83. When you get off where the Baltimore Sun was, I could park my car and walk to UB and use the newspaper for a computer. I didn't own a computer, so I could write my papers on a computer terminal, which I did not own at my house. And that's why I selected the school I selected. I went to the University of Baltimore. My work picked up half of my tuition, and I picked up the other half. And when I left college, I had no debt. I had a piece of paper, and I found it the other day, Bill. I was cleaning out the basement of Hart Road. You might be familiar with that. And underneath of the Van Halen autographs, of the Cal Ripken things that hung on the wall, the Baltimore Magazine honors that hung on the wall, all of that at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of all of it, underneath a crushed glass for a Johns Hopkins Children's Center thing that I got that broke, right? So I have all these awards we won. And underneath is my diploma, which was not broken, by the way. It's on the bottom. And I'm like looking at it in the dark, and I got my flashlight out. I'm like, oh, look at that. Bachelor of Science, Corporate Communication, University of I've never shown it to anyone. And it's literally sitting on a bed in the basement in the flood zone in Towson. No one's ever asked me for it. You didn't ask me for it so like, I'll hear you on the college thing. So, but what does it mean for a basketball player? What does it mean for a football player? And what does it mean for their parents? That's really what the sports part of this is. I mean, like Leonard Raskin, my dear friend and partner, his boy goes to Ohio State. He's a freshman, right? Like, he's wearing Ohio State stuff, having a good time this year. But it's not like they went to the Horseshoe and had a good time this year, right? Like,
Right.
even if you paid for it, you didn't get it this year,
But
right?
they got that TV money, right? So from the school side, they need the TV money to support all the other stuff. That's Alabama, that's Auburn, that's Ohio State, Clemson, that's
But
all
that's
good.
Maryland too. Just
Sure.
because they're not good at it, just because they didn't win.
Well, and I think so. Being the state-run, like primary school in Maryland, and my sense of Maryland, like Maryland's hard to get into. Like I went through, my son's at Loyola now in his freshman year doing the remote deal, and he applied and got into Maryland. But like Maryland's a little bit different, and I think those schools are reasonably priced. They have, albeit maybe non-winning to your point, but they have Saturdays, they have Tuesdays at basketball. They have these things that
They have
generate
the
income.
experience.
Yeah. I think those schools will be fine, right?
So does
Those schools,
Towson. Towson has a football team and a basketball team, and you can walk, and there's girls, and there's kids from New Jersey. It's lovely.
Towson's
I've
real
been there.
strong, I think. I think Towson's real strong. I mean, I'm shocked that's where I went, so I'm shocked at how different it is over there now. I mean, if you haven't been there, you need to drive through Towson and just see the evolution. It's crazy.
We
But
had Dr. Schatzel on a couple months ago. We had Nancy Hafford on 2 weeks ago talking about all the plans that are Towson and what Towson wants to become. And obviously Moeller's all about that. Johnny O, the whole deal. But and I'm not worried about Towson, but to your point, there are going to be schools in the middle of wherever that are getting eaten up by a basketball and a football funding them, like literally in a way that Wesley College in Dover, Delaware, where my buddy went, just ain't going to get that.
yeah, I just think that there should be, and look, weird stuff goes on, so maybe this isn't the end result, but there should be a realignment. University of Maryland, Towson, those schools are providing maybe not completely appropriate, but much closer appropriate value to cost, right? Ratio. They're not $30,000, and you can get the diploma that will hopefully effectively get you a job. And I think those schools are doing a good job. How the private, $40,000,
Look, I think
$50,000 a
Ohio
year
State and Alabama might be
universities.
doing a good job too, but watching them play football and basketball right now is beyond exploitive. For me, as a 52-year-old viewing it, all I could think about watching the football game the other night when they came out was the coin is getting flipped, and I literally looked at the empty stadium in New Orleans or wherever the hell it was, and I thought, there's billions of dollars being made tonight. Everybody, I mean, the referee's getting paid. The announcer, everybody's getting paid. Everybody except the people with the helmets. Really? Yeah, man. This can't stand. I guess that's my thing. The NCAA and the way this has been run, I think the pandemic is going to change also. It's going to change your roof. It's already changed my business. It's going to change everything. But I think it's going to change college sports dramatically. I think it's going to change sports dramatically, but college sports dramatically.
Well, I think the argument of they're getting paid in scholarship,
Bitcoin.
if your tuition was previously $40,000 and you were getting a scholarship, that's a pretty sizable trade. Where if the actual value of the education is more like $5,000 or $8,000, now all of a sudden there's a larger gap of disparity between the income coming from television and the value being given to their employee slash student athletes, right? I don't know. I mean, I thought that evolution started to take place in California, and then the NCAA started stepping in, and maybe COVID like shoved that off to the
Well, the
side.
Ed O'Bannon and the video games and the likeness. I mean, that's a big piece of this as well, because
Sure.
this really is about Trevor Lawrence not getting compensated the other night, and he was the reason everybody was there, as I see it. This is the singer and the band not getting paid.
Right. I agree.
Bill Cole is here. He's
But
Cole
that's
Roofing and Gordy Energy. Let me plug everybody. Tell me what you do, because you got roofs behind you and all that. I've got the hat. I've got the cup here. Tell me what you do on roofs, and we'll go back and argue some more about college football. Before it's all over, we got to talk some Ravens.
Yeah. Well, for those who are watching this, that I can just point in. That's what we do. We put solar on commercial roofs.
That
For
ain't
those
Dundalk High School.
for listening, we do everything from a small repair to a large roof replacement, new construction project, commercial roofs. Been doing it for 100 years in Baltimore. Start
101.
101,
Two.
maybe. Well,
It's
I don't
it's
know.
21 now.
Does 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 the pandemic year even count, or is
Yeah,
that
you
just
did
a,
roofs.
a
I watched you.
void?
You got on my
Okay,
roof last
all
year.
right.
It counts.
So, uh, and then so about 12 years ago, we started doing solar, and we do that on roofs. We do that on parking lots. We do that in fields. Um, I just encourage people to try and explore it, learn about it, understand the economics of it. It remains a very lucrative way to enhance your property, add another revenue stream, offset power, stop paying the power bill, that kind of stuff. So, and we're
Nice.
here to help.
You had
Yeah.
something else you want on college before I lead us to Nashville?
No, I just think it's this idea that we can talk all about the impropriety between players not being paid, but I think more specifically where we started was playing in the pandemic and the need to play in the pandemic. And then it started with me telling you go do some reading on the March Madness, because that is insane. I didn't go research it, but I heard all the games are going to be played in the state of Indiana, and that somehow they're going to build a bubble over the state of Indiana that's going to make
As
sure
long as Mike Pence
March Madness,
presides over it, I'm sure it's going to go really well.
right? And they're going to make sure that the NCAA tournament happens, and they're going to do it because Indiana is a safe place. And I,
I thought
the
that
only,
was Kansas. Oh, the wrong movie. Sorry, wrong
right.
movie. Yeah.
The only thing that I thought of is, as a basketball fan, like if I lived in Indiana, this could potentially be the most amazing experience in your entire
Like
life.
spring training in Arizona, right?
Except that it matters, and like I don't think anybody else is going to go, right? So like I'm pretty sure Indiana's going to let people come in, whatever 25% occupancy or whatever the number is. But if you're a Carolina fan, are you traveling? Like probably not. Like
I've been to
maybe.
Indiana. I had a chance. I almost went there this weekend. So no, I'm not traveling.
Right. So you can literally go watch. Like I made the joke last night with my brother. I think the way the ticket packages are going to be, you can buy every ticket to every game and a vaccine for $2,000, and you're just good. You're good. You can go. I mean, it's the craziest thing ever. Like one of the best experiences I had was when the Royal Farms Arena, or whatever it's called right now.
It's called the Royal Farms Arena.
Okay, well that was good. I did that well.
By the way, all the Nashville people we talk about the hot chicken this week. I've been like, nah,
Right.
we're okay. Don't need any of that. So I'm not
uh,
going.
we were like 16, and we went down there because they had like opening round games, or maybe
Oh,
it
I
was
went to those
second
games. Sure.
round
Yeah, that
games.
was 1994. That was Oklahoma State, Temple.
Yup. Big
Yep. Penn,
Country.
Big Country, Randy Rutherford, absolutely. Wake
Antonio
Forest was here.
McDice.
Yeah. Wake Forest was with
Wake
exactly.
Forest. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Randolph Childress and
Yeah.
Tim Duncan were here.
Yep.
I was there.
Yep.
I was courtside. Yep.
So so were we. And here's the deal. We went down there, no tickets, two 16-year-old boys standing on a corner.
Yeah, the greatest day of your life. The Oklahoma State
Oh my
cheerleaders were
gosh.
beautiful.
We bought tickets, we scalped them, we bought again, we scalped. We did the trade up for about 4 hours until we were sitting right behind the basket on one of the ends. And it was the greatest day ever. I mean, it literally, And I don't, whatever. Small arenas, I think, are nice for basketball.
By the way, UMBC was the host of that, and I remember Steve Levy there, and I remember everything about it. I mean, I didn't go to the Saturday. I went all day Thursday, and I woke up Friday not feeling well, so I wound up not going. Saturday night was like, didn't Penn play Temple? It was like there was a Philly versus Philly kind of game. It was really good. It went like overtime or something. Does that sound right?
We must have. I'm trying to figure out because that's a recollection that maybe I excluded from my memory because maybe we were not going to
It was
school on a
1995,
Thursday.
I think. Here, no, hold on. Here,
Because
94,
if it
95.
was a Saturday, then it might have been a Thursday because we saw all the
It was
teams play.
95.
We saw all the teams play.
By the way, Ed O'Bannon was the MVP of the tournament that year. Bringing
Yeah,
his name up.
it's funny. It's funny.
Hold on, East Regional. I'm looking for the actual. I'm looking for. Yeah, Baltimore was the site. I'll get it all here for you.
You had it
East
all.
Regional. No, this is it here. Wake Forest.
Yep.
It was Oklahoma State, Alabama.
Yep.
We had Penn and Drexel. That's what it was. Penn and Drexel. And yeah, so there you go. Those were the brackets. Bill Cole's here. Cole Roofing. We are geezing from 25 years ago. I've been geezing all week here about Nashville. Were you at the Eddie George Ray Lewis game in 2000?
Of course.
So were you on my trip or did you just fly? I took about 280 people down. We had a Hooters that was Corey Harris of the Ravens. His family, he's from Nashville. He went to Vanderbilt. His family bought a renovated Hooters out of downtown. We took it over. John Ogden came that night and he didn't have a beer because he had to play, but he stopped by.
Yes,
I remember it all so vividly. And were you at the next trip 10 years ago when Stover hit the kick? You only been to Nashville once? You've been there twice?
I think I have only been to an NFL game one time, and it was on the way to the Super Bowl that year.
Okay, so 10 years, 11 years ago, when Stover hit the kick, we had our party at Graham Central Station. We had 3,000 people in this giant bar. Bill, Graham Central Station's about 2 doors down from where the bomb went off. Graham Central Station's destroyed. I mean, the whole block's destroyed. I've walked up and down that block 500 times. I mean, from all the times I've gone down there honky-tonking and going to Predators games and just doing what I do, right? Loving traveling and liking music and all of that. I'm staying away this week, dude. Tennessee is the hottest of hot spots in the country right now. And I can't justify it. I mean, I haven't gone in 2 months.
Of hot
I want to go. I mean,
at
1 o'clock Sunday, I want to be there.
Hottest of hot spots, pandemic?
Pandemic-wise, correct.
Political, strife or
no.
The East Vegas.
No, I'm talking about testing and testing numbers. Every county.
I think
is
Nashville, if you enjoy, or that's probably the wrong word, if you're curious about cities and how they evolve and how they thrive or die, Nashville is wildly intriguing because they had wild success after 25 plus years of getting all of the stakeholders, so Nashville proper and then the surrounding counties, all getting on the same plan about Music City, right?
Tourism, music, legacy, bars, sports. Right? Let's talk about sports, dude. 20 years ago, when I first started going to Nashville, they didn't have any teams.
Sure. 20 years, this is going to be the plan. Everybody bought in. Everybody did it. They got, in 2019, 2020, they were basically at the pinnacle, right, of the plan. And it started
hotel rooms are $300 a night there. And there's a million of them.
Sure. Yeah. It's starting to fall apart because the most recent phase was to attract large companies, right, to move into downtown so that the jobs came into downtown so that they could start building not just tourism, right? Like tourism's good, but as we know now, tourism is suspect, right? Yeah, right. Like you can have a problem. So you start to build the other more sustainable pieces around it. They gave away like basically the tax base to encourage companies to move into the city. And that was the fight that they were all having prior to pandemic. It's like
something Brandon Scott should be considering.
And right. But now with the loss of tourism and the hospitality business, to watch them, I mean, their convention center, Ness, like that building is one of the most amazing buildings I have ever seen.
Completely world class.
Yeah, I mean, it is just
it's one of the most recent ones built. It's like SoFi Stadium in LA. It's just our convention center was built in the 80s and updated whenever, right? Their
to
convention center was it's like the Denver airport. It's new.
to look at the so when I went to that football game, my recollection of Nashville, I don't even
It
recognize
looked
the
like
town.
Harrisburg then.
I don't even right. It doesn't. I don't even recognize the town that I was in, not this past October, but the October before. To go from the convention center to the Predator Arena down to the honky tonk Broadway and all that stuff. I mean, it's just out of control. It's wild, and now I feel for them people because I don't know, they vested all their effort, 20 some plus years of all these people.
And had it working.
Yeah. But it wasn't sustainable, sort of, right? Like, do you build things to be sustainable through a pandemic?
No one
Or,
ever thought Nashville would be shut down and they wouldn't, and the lights would be off for music. We're going to turn the music off in Nashville? What? I mean, I don't know.
well, look at New Orleans, right? So, okay, similar town based on tourism, and they have a natural disaster, once every 5 years, once every 3 years. So tourism uh, can survive natural disasters. It can't, I don't know if it survives prolonged, right? Like the pandemic is prolonged. It's not, here comes the storm and let's start rebuilding 3 days later. That's not what this is. This is prolonged.
It's a
Nobody
different
can
thing when a
go.
bomb goes off in the middle of your city, too. That the kind of rebuild they're talking about there. I mean, it took out a block, dude. It I don't want to compare it to the Twin Towers, but for Nashville, the kind of devastation and destruction and the location of where it is, there's a part of me this week, and I am not a rubbernecker. By
Well, they
by
had a
nature, I don't
tornado.
drive down and need to look at the dead body on the other side of the road, when the traffic stopped. So I don't need to see that. I've seen the videos and all that stuff. And I've talked to everybody in Nashville this week about it. I mean, my wife and I woke up to it on Christmas and like we thought about where we live in the city and we thought, oh my God, like
Right.
what that would be psychologically for Nashville.
Sure. I mean, they had a tornado, like,
Back in May, yeah.
yeah, right after the pandemic, started really taking hold. It's I don't know. They have a lot of really good stuff going on. And they have they're like a burgeoning healthcare industry. It's an interesting spot. Vanderbilt, right, is right there, so
Of course.
you've got that to lean on. Um, I Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the other town that I'm curious about is like Charleston, right? Like another hot,
It was coming.
sexy town that totally rebuilt themselves on tourism, but has had success attracting large businesses. I mean, they got like BMW and they have all these, and that was a town that was dead because it was a military town, right? It was a shipbuilding town.
It's a dead state.
And the federal government walked out and left, and then the people of Charleston are looking around like, okay, what the hell do we do now?
Let's serve some grits.
Yeah, so and they've done a good job reinventing themselves, and now you have, and I think that tourism was a very appealing pathway for Baltimore to go down, and what there was a lot of momentum building around leaning on the tourism.
30 years ago when Camden Yards opened. I mean, Camden Yards was the other part of the thing that was going to be part of that, right?
Right, but I mean now, in this attempt of a rebirth, right? Like we need to combat the public safety issue, and we've got good stuff going on, and we've got this underpinning of millennials living here, and we've got
Got
good things.
location.
So can we build the tourism industry to make it attractive enough for more businesses to move in and headquarter themselves in Port Covington, Harbor East? I mean, pretty soon, my guess is the downtown business district will be empty because everyone's moving out and to the south, right? To the east and to the south. So we'll be able to recruit people into those big buildings right up from the harbor, and you do a little rebirth of the Inner Harbor
I'll
complex.
get on
And
that right away. I'll call Brandon.
yeah, I
We'll,
mean,
we'll,
you're
we'll get on
running.
that right away. Bill Cole is here. He is Gordian Energy and Cole Roofing. They've been doing 102 years now. We're getting ready for the game here. Go ahead. You had more. You had more for me on fixing Baltimore, which I love because we
No,
need to
I
fix
don't.
Baltimore.
It's hard to get energy to have those kinds of conversations, right? Because we're all just trying to
Hold
combat
on.
the pandemic, exactly. And your first action as mayor to close the restaurants isn't exactly, creating an environment that will help us develop tourism. But like my buddy Al at Visit Baltimore and all that. I mean, he's in and he's trying, and they built this whole campaign and da 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 da. We were going to go, and now we're not. And all I know is my football team can go into Tennessee and could win by 3 touchdowns, and it would make me super happy because I really have a distaste for Vrabel. I don't like the way they behaved when they came to Baltimore.
Neither does
And
John Harbaugh, by the way.
and then I think there might only be a few of us who feel that way. I'm not sure any of the players on our team actually got offended by that, but I appreciate John protecting my shield. And so, or they could go in and lay an egg and lose by 3 touchdowns, and I guess I probably wouldn't be that shocked. But
I think they're playing better than that. I'll be shocked if they lose. I've said that all week. I think that the
they ain't played
disappointment of the
anybody.
last year. If Lamar Jackson is a winner, if Marlon Humphrey is a winner, if Patrick Queen they're going to go win this week because they're capable, they're healthy, they're trending the right way. They need to win a game in January. We talk about this, the other 11 and a half months, the last 2 years. This is their time to shine. They know that. They've been through all this adversity. I really think they're going to win this week. Now, what happens, Kansas City? I think Buffalo is really a snake in the grass right there. They're really playing well. Kansas City taking this week off. Kansas City didn't wake up and play last year when they had Kansas City is hot and cold, and when they're hot, they're as good as anyone. So I'm not as concerned about them. We've played well enough against them that I think it can be a fourth quarter kind of game. I don't think the Ravens are going to wet themselves getting off the plane at Arrowhead. They've been there twice the last couple of years. So that part wouldn't concern me. I don't think they're the better football team right now. I don't think they're better than Kansas City and Buffalo, but I think they're better than Nashville. I watched Tennessee play this week. I mean, their defense can't tackle. I think that's going to be a real problem. I think the Ravens are going to go up and down the field on Sunday. As long as they don't kick the ball around or make mistakes, which was the problem last year, they'll win on Sunday.
I think you are so drinking the purple Kool-Aid right now that this is one of the conversations where I am generally concerned for your well-being. You need to get out of the house a little bit.
I took a walk yesterday.
This is a team that is missing a lot of the parts, right? I agree they are playing so much better than they were 3 or 4 weeks ago, but they're still not a great team because the Ronnie Stanleys aren't there, right? Their guys aren't there. So beating up the Giants and the Bengals make you feel really
It has developed
good.
the confidence that I need this week.
Yeah,
it's what I need
it.
this week, all right?
Let
me have it.
I get it. No,
I've been on the phone all week with people from Tennessee telling me Derrick Henry's nobody's going to tackle him, and I'm like, all right, well, let's go see if Chuck Clark wants to tackle him this week.
That might be true. I'm not sure, but look, I'm on the record with you a couple weeks ago saying I wasn't sure that I even wanted us to make the playoffs because I don't want Lamar to lose the 3rd year in a row. And now
Deshaun Watson doesn't have to worry about it.
And now it's a thing, right? Now it's a thing. Because you're right. They need to win now.
Oh, they lose on Sunday. If Lamar throws 5 touchdowns and they lose 45-42, it's a thing. It's bad.
It's a thing.
It's bad. Yeah, I mean, they have to tackle Derrick Henry. It's all on defense for me. If they do that, they'll win. I'm convinced the offense is going to move the ball. I'm not convinced the offenses are going to kick the ball around because I never know that, but I'm convinced the offense is going to be effective on Sunday. Bill Cole is here. I've got the mug. I've got the hat. You can find them at Cole Roofing and at Gordian Energy. You can find them on the front of BaltimorePositive.com. You can find them on AM 1570 on your dial. I'm going to bid you adieu. You rest up. If we come back next week and we're talking about, non-football related activities, I'm going to be upset,
right.
All right?
I want to promote the triple play on both days, the triple header.
Okay.
That is wild. I was kind of turned off by the playoff thing that they were changing.
Mm-hmm.
but setting up a triple header on 2 days, that's kind of wild. That's like 10 hours of football.
It's almost like putting every NCAA game in Indiana for a month.
It's kind of disappointing that you can't have like 3 or 4 families over and just, eat and drink and have the kids play all day so you can watch football.
Just get some Rofo, get some pizza junk. You'll be fine. You're going to make it through. We're going to have football again next weekend, all right?
All right, man. Love you. Thanks.
Be confident, man. Come on. It's Tennessee.
We got it. We got it. We're good.
All right, we're on it. There he goes. Bill Cole, Gordian Energy, and Cole Roofing. You can find me, Nasty, at WNST.net, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, in Tennessee, out of Tennessee. Anywhere you are, we are. WNST.net, AM 1570. Taos in Baltimore, we never stop talking. Baltimore, positive.